What are we painting?
We are painting a quick cloud shot that I took by my brother's place where I work with buffalo. We were stacking hay, and every once in a while you see something. It's like, whoa! I whip my phone out real quick and take a jump back to work. So um, it's in Wisconsin,
Hmm. Whereabouts in Wisconsin?
near Armstrong Creek, Wisconsin, which is like 2 hours north of Green Bay.
Okay.
We're almost on the Michigan border, and it's pretty much nothing up here. So it's good and bad. Um, had some beautiful clouds this summer. Maybe I just started noticing them. I don't know, but
Yeah, this is a
well,
really nice shot,
for
actually. How
some
long have you
reason,
been? Oh, I'm sorry. I
no,
interrupted you.
please interrupt.
I was going to
I'll
ask you
chat
how
along.
long you've been in that area.
Well, on this photo, if you could see the house way to right, that's where I grew up, and we moved here in 1977.
Oh, okay.
So I went to school and moved, and I came back home, and I moved down the road actually. So I'm in this area forever, for most of my life.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you really have a feeling for the livestock and the light that happens around the livestock on farms, like in the evening or early in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's why I began to give you a follow on the gram. And then
Yep.
and then I realized at some point along the way that you had been in a show with a good friend of mine, Krista.
Oh yeah. We were in.
Was it Florida?
Well, last time I saw her was in Florida. Yep.
Okay.
I think that was the only show I was ever in with her. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great artist. Real nice person.
Yeah.
I did get to listen to her podcast with you. That was
Oh
pretty
yeah.
awesome. Yep. Liked it.
Cool.
It was interesting to hear your both introduction of how you met and.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think she was completely sloshed at the time.
Oh, cool! I should have tried that.
Yeah. I think in the episode we mentioned that she went out to her car to record, and it was kind of quiet, and she took a drink out with her, and yeah. I mean, I'm not going to on this PaintCast here accuse Krista of uh, only being able to paint her beautiful paintings while completely intoxicated, but I mean, that's a question that I think anyone who uh, is around her neck should inquire about.
Ah, boy, I'll have to ask her the next time I see her.
Yeah. Hey, Chris Long said.
And I'll get a slap probably right there. Chris Long.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is going pretty quick for me. I'm able to block the clouds in pretty fast. I, I, I think it's working because I decided to because it's a very nuanced cloud form. I decided I was just going to do two different colors at first, and normally I'd like to mix up three. I have like
Yeah.
I have like I have three different tones that usually have 3 different hue variations to them.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, today I'm just going with 2.
All right.
I'm trying to keep it, trying to simplify a little.
Looking
And
cool.
I really like the large clouds that form. I'm not sure. I should probably know this. I'm not sure what they're called. The classification of cloud, but that form kind of lower in the atmosphere and are wispier and kind of gray that you have coming across in the top upper left.
Yep.
I've never been really too proficient at really capturing the airiness of those. And I've tried a few times in other pieces, but when I saw this particular photo, I thought that it would be a good challenge. Yeah. Yep. Man. How long have you been painting for, Steven?
I've always wanted to paint. I don't know why. High school, I probably started really getting busy, and my parents got sick of me getting paint all over my bedroom floors, so they actually built me a place to paint in my bedroom, and I would paint on my bedroom walls. I don't know, I was just into it. I don't know. I remember my mom painting it when I was a young kid, but just thought it was the most coolest thing ever. So in high school, I always painted. I was the art nerd, and then I was looking for some way to go to college, and I got accepted into MIAD at Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, and went there for a semester. It was a cold Wisconsin winter semester. It was actually the spring, and it was very expensive. So I ended up. Did you ask me about what I did for how long I painted, or where did I go to school?
I asked you how long you've been painting for.
Painting.
I think
Yeah.
that's what I asked you.
I don't know if I'm supposed to keep talking here all day long, or.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean I have plenty of bizarre non sequiturs to throw your way too. I mean,
Okay. Cool. Anyway, I went to junior college for a while in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Nicolay, and then I ended up finishing a degree in University of Green Bay, UW Green Bay, sorry. And and I always painted. I just always had a spot to paint, and then let's see, maybe 10 years ago, plein air started showing and something to do, and so I started doing that. So I don't know, 8 years plein air artist, always doing studio work.
I'm a reluctant plein air painter.
I can understand that.
I just do it when it's convenient.
Sure.
And sometimes I'll have a great opportunity to go and paint right there, and I'll just take a photo and go back and paint it somewhere else.
There's something about being comfortable and enjoying your painting.
Yeah. I also really don't like bugs getting in my way. I'm a really, really impatient person. And if I'm trying to concentrate and mix up something, and then some flies or mosquitoes start fucking with me, I lose it.
Not a big fan of mosquitoes myself, So I know I've abandoned a lot of paintings just because the mosquitoes got so bad.
That's good to hear. There's a feeling I get from other people who, they heavily curate their posts, and some other artists like to sell the drama and the sizzle of what they do. And to me, I'm always thinking to myself, it would be much more interesting to hear when people just give up. Like, I want to hear. I want to hear about like when people gave up, and they were just like, "Screw this! This is way too much."
Well, I gave up at Grand Marais, Minnesota. I don't know if anyone from that organization will listen to me lately, or check back and see what I said. But at some point during that storm, they stick you out on a point on Lake Superior, and at some point on that horrible windstorm with horizontal rain, I said, "What am I doing out here? This is stupid." If you want me to paint, put me someplace comfortable. I wouldn't be out here for work. Why am I out here for painting?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, painting is work, but whatever. So I kind of gave up.
It's not really work. I mean, it's work enough for people who want to know what you're doing. Like, hey, what are you doing, Steven? The hell are you filling your days with?
I'm working.
Yeah, hey, I'm working.
Well, I did cheat, and I did paint a different version of this last night. So if this doesn't turn out, I'll just show that and throw that in there.
Well, won't be the first time. Yeah, it's funny to conceptualize doing this, which is why I think a lot of other people have been hesitant to actually come on and paint side by side and sort of bullshit. They're like, wait a second, what if I don't have a good painting? And then my response is, well, I don't have great results most of the time. I don't know what you're doing, that every single time you sit down you create a goddamn masterpiece,
I do think a lot of your work is awesome. So how many times a day do you paint?
Well, I wake up early.
Wow.
I get as much done as I can before I have to do other stuff.
Sure.
And sometimes I'm good to paint for a few hours. So I'll get like, I don't know, at least 3 pieces done.
Cool.
And other times I will wake up and barely get through 1.
I have this tendency to paint as fast as I can and go through ideas as fast as I can. And then sometimes if I slow down, they turn to shit. I don't know what it is about moving fast. And it's good that you said that, because I thought I was the only weirdo out there. But
no, I'm super, super, super impatient. And
okay.
I would much rather fail in rapid succession than have one piece that I work on for a week and then see myself overwork it and kill it, and then have to deal with those feelings, because that's what seems to happen.
Yeah.
For me.
My work is overworked very easily. Yeah.
Yeah, because I tend to not focus too much on the color that I'm using. I just sort of stick to a pretty basic limited palette, and I'm more about, trying to get the surface to be interesting. And I know that a lot of people really don't see how that's helpful, but I think that's what interests me the most about painting is the lack of painting that I do sometimes, because I started off as a sculptor for years. I was
That's right.
I was like a figure portrait sculptor, and I did mold making and casting, and I did a lot of relief work for commission. So I'm used to applying bits of wax and clay and building up the surface and then pushing it back down again, and it just sort of naturally falls into that while I'm painting as well. And I fought it a little bit at first, but then I decided just to go with it.
Yeah, the thicker the better. I don't know.
Yes.
Right now I'm working pretty thin, so I don't know. But I agree. Yeah.
I have a hard time. I cannot keep my attention on paintings, whether they're masterworks or whether they're pieces that contemporaries are making that are thin. Anything that is too thin and very uniform, um, even if it's really, really lovely, I lose interest almost immediately, and that's totally my impatience shining through. But I think that you kind of carry um, your feelings about all the other pieces throughout art history that you happen to take a look at into your own work in some subconscious ways.
That's interesting.
Oh. Wow. Now, is that orange you have in your cloud? It's like a
Yeah.
intense orange. Yeah, that's working really well for you. Every time I have an image in front of me that has any kind of green in it, that's what gives me the highest amount of anxiety. So I end up focusing more on regulating the colors around it so that I don't have to go too green, and then I
Sure.
can sort of attempt to ignore some of it.
My advice would be use a ton of phthalo green. How's that?
uh,
No,
yeah,
don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Sorry.
I do use some green if I have to. However, I like to mix it myself. I'll just take
Yeah.
like a Payne's gray and like a cad medium, and um, it's much easier for me to deal with if I can um, if I don't have to actually deal with seeing the color on my palette. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how adverse I am to it. Oh man. So do you use palette knives often or just brushes?
Well, actually, I'm bringing out my palette knife right now. I just kind of sort of rough it in, and then the highlight of the cloud here. I'm trying to work on the left side of it.
Yeah.
That's usually when it all gets chunky.
I like the feeling in the reference photo um, around the negative space of that blue, but I do not have a cerulean on my palette here. I'm using ultramarine, so I'm trying to figure out how to manipulate that and push it a little bit more.
Mm.
And also not use too much of my CAD yellow deep. I've been on this kick lately, and I just throw that into absolutely everything. I feel as though I'm just dumping CAD orange onto my paintings now. I like it, but then I take a step back, and if I go through my Instagram feed and just sort of look at my like 20 or 30 most recent posts, in the back of my head, I'm like, wow, you really kind of dumped the CAD yellow deep on there, didn't you? Wow. So, do you just want, I mean, when things start to normalize a little, are you just looking to do the plein air thing?
No.
Okay.
Sorry
if that was a trick question.
Yeah. No, let's see. What I'm trying to do is survive. Do what I want. Let's see. Do I do what I want? I do what I want to I do what I have to do to survive. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I had workshops at Richardson Art School, which is in Appleton, and nothing ground shattering, or it was just let's paint, and I'll bring a image we'll work on, and in some places it was like you would call it almost a paint and drink, but it wasn't that. It was just we'll pick a scene and paint it, and I'll help you along. So I'd organize that or help set that up, and then we do plein air events around, and that was a way to create revenue. And I would like to get back to plein air, but it's not. And a lot of people are probably going to shun me for this, but it's not always a moneymaker, I got 2 kids and a wife, and
same here. I tend to feel like my plein air work, because I sell the pieces that I do from photographic reference about 4 times as often as I do the pieces that I paint plein air. That it's just more of a curiosity for me to
sure,
keep with.
Yeah.
And I would like to get back into doing the figure and portraits at some point again as well. I've been working on a couple of portrait commissions this summer.
Cool.
That have turned out pretty nice. As as nice as I can make them with my brush marks, So that's something that I'm thinking about. And who knows when all this is actually going to regulate enough for people to actually have events again.
Right. I'll hit a lot of plein air events usually during the summer. And it seems like I bring in money, but and I create work to sell through galleries. And this year it's been weird, to say the least. I guess that's the understatement. It's been weird.
I'm not too crazy about doing the whole gallery thing. I held off a long time before actually having work in anywhere or being represented by anybody. Um, I was just burned so many times as a sculptor that when I started
Really?
off, when I started off just doing the painting full time, um, because so many of the galleries in New Orleans are just shady, and some people may disagree with that, but as far as I'm concerned, they're shady. They open up way too fast, they close way too soon. The turnover is just too high for me to go along with a lot of this stuff. So I've always just relied on my ability to go to a market or to sell things online myself.
That's good to do.
Just because it's a little bit easier. And I also have really held off working with other companies or other people. I'm not patient enough to deal with some of the bureaucracy involved.
Well, all good reasons.
I feel as though that I come off looking like a real asshole sometimes too. I, I need as much help um, in that regard as I can.
I don't know. I've met some really nice people in galleries. I totally understand what you're saying, though. I've met some strange ones and some people that I don't ever want to talk to again. So I guess it's.
Well, my experience is also from New England in the 90s and 2000s.
Okay.
So that's its own separate thing.
I don't dare ask how old you are, sir. Or do I?
I am 41. I was born in 78. And I was a sculptor for about 10 years after I graduated from the Lam Academy. And then I sold cookware in Sam's Clubs.
Cool.
For a job. Well, it was interesting. It definitely was an experience. And then I decided I was going to go to New Orleans. And when I got there, a friend recommended that I go out and see all the artists selling out on the street, Jackson Square, and that it was really bouncing back from Hurricane Katrina, and then a lot of money was coming into the city, and I just said, yeah, I'll try it. I did, and it worked for a long time.
I've been looking back at your work there, Chris. It's looking pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm trying not to go too fast, and I feel as though that these hay bales, that I can't just kind of wing it with these. I have to have a decent amount of structure, and I want to make sure that the color is as accurate as I can get it. I'm not really a colorist like you are. I can't. I don't really see colors good enough to be able to push them. So I have to rely on some other means of actually constructing my pictures. And a lot of it is through value and weight of paint.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just one of those people who has never seen color grade, and that's why I never really painted while I was at art school. I used to make fun of Krista for painting I mean, nonstop. Like, what are you even doing? You can make so much more money as a sculptor. Like, that sort of crap that you say when you're like 18, 19, when you know absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and know everything. Yeah. I don't know if there's a lot of money to be made in painting. That's what I'm doing.
Yes, there is. And what I didn't expect was for the fine art sculpture market to go so quickly to digitalization and to the automation, because you can 3D print almost anything now. And
Oh,
I saw the I saw the future for me, and it involved computers, and that's when I checked out.
wow.
Yep.
I'm not much of a computer guy either. I struggled making sure I was ready for this endeavor. You mean Skype? You mean I got to get an app? You mean, oh crap?
Yeah. I mean, it's really, it seems like more than it actually is. It seems like it's going to be a lot more of a challenge.
Well, I have a 18-year-old daughter, and she was helping me with everything. So.
Oh, great. I have a 7-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old daughter, and neither one of them are interested in helping me with
Oh,
anything.
I was gonna say, are they doing all the work?
No, they are not.
No, they're not. Okay. My dad asks me a lot about computers, and I just send my son over.
Nice.
Let him figure it out. He can answer you.
Okay, I'm trying to not really screw up this hay bale here, and I can tell from the way that I've been applying paint on the rest of the piece, because I'm trying to be mindful of the fact that I want to finish this within the hour, like the confines of the hour. So I've been holding off actually doing the drawing for it, and it's coming back to bite me a little. I think I have to restructure all this shit now.
It's just the bad stacking of hay bales. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Someone doesn't know what they're doing.
It's not nice and even.
No.
But I kind of dig it though. I think it's unusual.
Well, to explain in farmers' terms what's going on is that we used to have 800-pound bales we would buy, and the farmers started making 1,300-pound bales. And for some reason, those 1,300-pound bales do not sit still or sit straight all the time, and we just put them up on blocks. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, boring stuff, but that's the way they sit for us.
So, when you say they don't sit still, they physically move more?
Well, when you put them down with a bobcat,
Okay.
they tend to settle more because there's more weight. As far as I can understand, we spent the last summer, my son and I were working on it and cursing the darn things because we used to push them up, like where you wouldn't see these dark shadows, and and then rain would fall in between them.
Okay.
And ruin them. So we decided this year to separate them. They just have a lot of weight, and it's hard to move them around. And anyway, yeah.
I always forget.
For the agricultural section of this show.
I always forget when they're about to start the hay bales, every year wherever I am, and I always want to catch and get a lot of photos of them all kind of freshly rolled in the fields out west here,
Sure.
and I never do. I'm always getting like bits and pieces, or them like I can get a photo of them all stacked up, but it's like I can never time it so that I get all of them kind of staggered out in fields where I drive,
Yep.
and that's what I really want. I just painted a recent small painting of some hay bales on a road, and they were all kind of stacked up in a row. And when I looked at it, when I finished it, I thought to myself, would have been a lot better if they had all been staggered out in the field. I'm constantly doing that too. I'm constantly looking at things that I just made and telling myself, if you had just done this and this and this.
I think we all do that.
Wow, you really kept that orange intensity in the cloud there. I'm really liking that, Steve.
That's probably the only good thing about the painting so far. But yeah, thanks.
Sometimes all you need is one.
Yeah, one good thing. Right.
Yeah. I mean,
so I'm going to a plein air. I'm going to go plein air this weekend.
Oh.
Not really an event, but it's called Jag Fest, where these Jaguar owners get together, and I'm going to try and paint a few and see if any of them want my painting of their Jaguar.
It's a pretty good idea, actually.
Well, we'll see. I'll let you know how it goes.
Definitely.
See a bunch of Jaguar paintings for sale online. So,
yeah, I'm always surprised what actually sells. Like whenever I make certain pieces, I think, yeah, this one's gonna go fast, and then I'll make other pieces, and I'll say this one's never going anywhere, and I think I'm exactly 50-50 on it right about now.
Yeah, I hear you. The stuff people love, I'm like, are you kidding me? And then the stuff that sits there, I'm like, wow, this is one of my most proudest pieces. And
yeah. Oh. And now I'm beginning to run out of room on my. I'm painting on like a small setup with an 8-inch glass palette, a square 8-inch glass palette, and I'm usually really good about keeping all of my colors separate. But I have this pile of little bits of color that I want to use in other parts of the piece. I'll hold it up. I don't know if people can see that.
Okay.
And it's taking up most of my room now. And because I'm such a creature of habit, and I have so many nonsense idiosyncrasies when it comes to doing my painting sometimes. Little things will throw me off. And that's one of my main concerns about doing plein air events.
Oh, I understand.
That I have a very controlled way of approaching things, and I control my environment, and I put on just the right amount of paint usually, and I have all these things that I can control. And then, I mean, when it's just me painting, I'm constantly swearing because something has just gone awry.
Well, I can understand that. I'm not a big fan of when it starts to rain or.
Yeah, I also don't want to have a fit in public either. Wow,
Well,
Chris,
I
you were
think that kind
completely
of.
uncool there.
Well, I think that just adds to his persona. Who's that guy bashing his car in with
Yeah,
his easel?
I think that's a little extreme. Oh, I want to get the direction of the light in the cloud too. Oh, and I
I
totally
wonder if.
forgot to work on this pole now.
Oh, that's right. Oh, maybe I won't even do that.
Yeah.
Someone forgot to put that in.
Well, you may have made a wise decision.
No,
Because,
that's.
because right about now, because of the scale I'm working at and the way I've approached other pieces of paint around it, it's not like I can really.
Gotta go in, or can you
Yeah,
omit it?
no, it just has to
Boy.
sort of be there. Okay. Oh, crap. Oh, so how far? Are you kind of in the sticks or what?
I am in the sticks.
Yeah.
Uh, Iron Mountain, Michigan would be a good sized town. I don't
Okay.
think you've ever heard of that town.
Um, probably not. Now, have you seen some crazy stuff where you are? Like, um, I'm
Like Bigfoot?
talking Bigfoot. I'm talking weird UFOs. I'm talking staircases in the middle of nowhere. Lost time.
Lost
Men in
time.
Black.
I do lose time a lot. Maybe
That's just
that's
a
what's
function
going
of your
on.
age.
I'm actually almost hitting 50, so um, yeah, I lost time somewhere here.
So,
Nothing that fun. I've got
no?
I got a friend out in California. We always send pictures back of what we think is Bigfoot, and it's like this stump in the woods, and I'll send a picture to him. See, I got him.
Yep. That's what a lot of it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, other years where I've been traveling around, I'm really good about going outside at night and looking up and figuring out if things are planets or stars. I have one of those apps that tell me if I am looking at a satellite or um, something else that's up in the air, and then kind of honing in on lights that I can't explain that aren't moving and trying to figure those out. And just by doing that, I've come across a few weird things in the years that I've been um, motoring around the country. But even though I have a Bigfoot sticker on the back of the coach that says "Got Bigfoot" that I got somewhere in Oregon, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything kind of monster Fortean like that.
Yeah.
And I really want to actually meet people who do.
I actually listen to a lot of the Bigfoot. You put on YouTube and just let it play while you paint. And it'll switch from one thing to the next. About saw him in Texas, and I saw him over in my backyard in New Jersey, or I saw him and I've never met anyone. I've painted pictures of Bigfoot, and I've sold them actually.
Really?
Painted two of them.
Nice. I've done one of
It was
Chewbacca,
cool.
but yeah.
I love painting Star Wars too.
Yeah. That was that was a pretty good sales tool for me in New Orleans when the on season was sort of in full swing. Doing some Star Wars paintings really helped me out sometimes, and I would do a few different types. Mostly the ones that really moved all the time were little tiny paintings of Yoda.
Really?
And then I would do little tiny paintings of Jawas. And when I say tiny, I mean like the size of a business card.
Wow.
Yeah. So they were small paintings. Yeah, I need some shadow here.
I have friends who tell me, you got to do more Star Wars. I'm like, I love painting Star Wars, but isn't there just a certain point if you don't paint something other than Star Wars?
Yeah, then I don't know. I'm kind of afraid of that too. That there's a fine line between painting a few different fan art pieces and then kind of taking that on as part of your thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm getting enough variation in the trees back here with just Payne's Gray and yellow ochre. Oh, man. Now I need to mix some of that brighter green grass for the foreground.
There you go.
Yep. I noted that you got that in there pretty quick. Me, I've been holding off.
A lot of phthalo green. Put it on as heavy as you can. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I had somebody when I was working with on the last the mini workshop I do, and first he said I've never painted before, and the first thing he grabbed was phthalo green, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And let me tell you right now, don't do
Bold
that.
moves, pal.
Yes, there you go. Bold choice.
Back when I first started and was completely broke, there were a few times where I only had basically pink and green and maybe a little bit of black, white, and orange or some other kind of color that I needed to use to come up with a booth full of paintings that I had to sell and pay bills before I could go and get more paint. So I came up with some creative ways to use that kind of viridian or phthalo green that I used to get either in gouache or acrylic. And when I was in New Orleans, and what I mostly used it for was tinting my really weak paint that was blue. I would use the viridian or the phthalo green for that, and then I would add it to the really weak, cheap kind of primary reds that were available, and I would make brown with that.
Oh.
So I never actually used a lot of the paint I had. I would mix custom colors and put them in little plastic tubes, and then paint with those. Yeah.
That's hardcore there, bud.
Yeah, there was a time when I first started at the market, and when I actually started to make enough money to not be draining my savings. It was like a 4 month period that I really couldn't afford absolutely everything.
Mm.
And I got super creative. And that's when I learned how to mix wash and craft paint and acrylic gel together. The key is heating it. You got to use
Really?
You got to use hot water.
I would have not have known that.
Yeah. And I don't know. Part of me feels as though I should do that from time to time just to keep um, the knowledge of that alive. But another part of me says, Chris, all you have to do is say it in a YouTube video or a podcast. Someone else will take it and run with it, and then you never really have to deal with it again. Like I don't have to keep that flame lit. Okay. We are in the last 10 minutes here, and I've spent way too long on these asymmetrical hay bales. Because they're in the foreground, I really want to sort of get some interest in there.
Yeah, what I don't like about mine is that they're all the same gray. But I like how yours, you've seen so many different colors. Who's the colors now, dude?
Yes. My light has changed a little since I'm using natural light. And let me see if I have another light to sort of change it. Yeah, that really doesn't help. Yeah. The light that you see on the iPhone when we're filming on Skype is different than the camera is picking up as we're filming. So it'll be a little bit brighter. And there'll be more nuance to it. It's just, it's not immediately evident when you look at it. Okay. Now I gotta put the green on. I'm not fucking around.
No.
This is what
serious stuff, man.
Yeah, this is my little pep talk I have to give myself. So, is this your studio? It looks like
a mess.
A basement or a garage.
Yeah,
What's
it's
the
a
space
basement.
that you're using? Okay.
Basement, and I don't have air conditioning in my house, so it's the coolest spot to be all the time.
Wow.
And in Wisconsin, it gets hot and muggy. So.
Yeah. But I mean, most of the year it's unbearably cold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can take the cold. I just can't take the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird when I go to Florida, but I usually don't go there too often. So.
We have spent a lot of winters in Florida. My wife's parents also have an RV and they full time in it, but they just bought a house in Florida too. And we have spent a lot of time there because we visit with them.
Well, that sounds great.
And we are also technically residents of the state of Florida as well. So we're never gone too long from home.
So no residents of Louisiana anymore?
No.
No? Okay.
We only lived in, we lived just outside the French Quarter when my second daughter was born. We had an apartment there.
Okay.
And other than that, we have always lived somewhere else. Oh man, sometimes when I'm using the palette knife, I have like a little bit of leftover paint, and I think to myself, oh, this would go perfect here. And I don't actually hold it up like I'm supposed to and say, kind of hold it against it and squint and look. I put it on and go for it immediately. That's another thing I've been attempting lately too, is to control some of my impulses. Because I use painting as a form of meditation, but also when I start to really get into it, the meditation part wanes, and then I have to control my ego and my mind, and that just like takes over.
Yeah, painting in life. If you ever have those moments where you're like, oh, if I only just wouldn't have gotten the car and had those 24 beers. I mean, sometimes I think about that in painting. If I only would have not put that last paint of color on, it would have been awesome.
Yep. But
so here
that's why I do so many pieces, because I have that conversation with myself so often, maybe. Yes, we are working our way back towards the south. Currently in Wyoming, going to Colorado, and then skip across to Tennessee. And it's a weird time to be traveling, but we'll still have to travel and still can't be stuck in October or November.
How is it traveling with COVID fears?
When they open everything up, it's not bad. People are still traveling in RVs.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of people who live full time in them, like we do. So it's our lifestyle. I mean, I don't think we can go to New England where we have family, because I think that they have actually shut down whole portions of those states up there. You have to quarantine yourself when you get there for 2 weeks. Yeah, and it was just a little bit too restrictive. But most other places, it's okay. We don't really go anywhere. I mean,
perfect for me. I don't go.
Yeah. The most I ever do is go to a grocery store, and then we're always outside doing things.
Yeah.
And this whole summer, we haven't really been around anybody else, so
that's good.
It'll be interesting traveling east again, see how things work out, and I guess we just have to take it as it comes. But yeah, I'm still gonna do the same thing I've been doing. Wake up, paint, swear a little bit. Oh wow! I think that's the hour, and I think that I'm just at the point now where I could ruin my piece.
Well,
I'm really close to doing a few things that just absolutely put it right into the bin. Okay, I think I just have to call this a painting.
It looks like home, man.
Nice. Let me take a look. Oh, you actually got that the Bobcat in there.
Yeah. I thought, what the heck? I didn't put the pole in, so
One or the other, right?
one of the other ones. Yeah. I don't
Wow.
know how many. If I would have had an old tractor there, that probably would have been a perfect
Yeah.
collaboration of things, but or
It
mixture of
was
things.
it was so interesting to see you work the horizon line and the background, and then move to the foreground, and yeah. Thank you so much, Steve. And hey, can you tell? I'm going to put your info in the description, but can you tell people how to best get in contact with you who are watching?
Well, email swaisakiart@gmail.com. I got a lot of work, daily work on Instagram, and that's swaisakiart. It's SWYSOCKIART. I got a website floating around out there, but I would say my Instagram is my most current work. And I just say, if you're interested, just shoot me a message.
Great. So, what am I going to call this in the video? Like, what's the title for this piece?
Hey there. No.
Done.
That's bad.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.